Good day, and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video, we are going to take on the Fighting Legend Goku event, the new GT version that's just come out on DBZ Dokkan Global. It is apparently an extremely difficult event, which is on par with Extreme Super Battle Road. So obviously, instead of bringing out a whole bunch of different unit type LGEs, they've decided to kind of just keep the Goku theme and update it with a GT version. Obviously, we'll take a look at the missions. So we get a whole bunch of rewards for finishing Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4, Phase 5, Phase 6, and Phase 7. And then obviously there are a bunch of category missions that we get as well. So, yeah, should be quite interesting to see if you can, win with these certain categories and try things out there. But there's a whole bunch of different rewards. You get about 14 stone, you get 14 tickets and 14 stones from completing the event just outright, which is good enough already. And then there are 5 stones and 5 tickets per challenge that you do. Some of those challenges will be quite difficult, depending on how difficult the stage is, depending on what kind of units you can run in your team. For now though, we're just going to basically run a super easy team. We're going to run with a full stacking team. We're not going to have any problems, I don't think. And basically, yeah, we're just going to run with that. We've got the, obviously for those of you who don't know, you can filter by raising defense, and that will show you units that raise defense. Obviously, if a unit transforms like Trunks and doesn't raise defense in its first form, it won't show you them. So just be careful when you are looking through units. But those of you will know who stack defense indefinitely. And yeah, then pretty much from here, we're just going to see how difficult the event is. In terms of the team rotations, for this team, you're going to probably run the Goku and the Vegeta together, so they can pair up, get their links, and obviously change a whole bunch of orbs. They are going to be orb dependent, but they do stack attack and defense, so they should be fine after a while. They will just be a bit more irregular than the other units. And then Gohan and Trunks are just going to basically float around and be, they're going to stack. They'll stack a lot faster than the other units. So them floating and only attacking and stacking every one of 3 turns isn't going to be too bad. Gohan has LR stats, so he'll stack really well in the 3rd slot. And then obviously the Trunks, the 2 Trunks cards are at 170% under their own lead, so they also have quite extended stats and will stack quite far. As you can see, really no problems so far, taking single digits. Obviously the event starts off slow. Goku is immune to stunning and immune to sealing. But he can be attack load, defense load, and obviously he doesn't look like he's dishing too much damage. We'll try and take like a super attack or something on the physical type unit, which obviously will kind of test what his damage is like. But I mean, at this point of this stage, he's not doing a lot of damage. I mean, Vegeta got a couple orbs, so he's taking a little bit of damage there. But Trunks, Piccolo, those kind of units just aren't going to take damage from this event. So, and just from this first stage in general. So it does look like it starts off slow. I would have been surprised if they had started off at a ESBR level. It would have been interesting if they had started off like super duper hard, and then kind of either plateaued it a bit more, or maybe put more gimmicks in rather. I would have preferred like an ESBR version of an IDBH or something, where they have like gimmicks in that and you can kind of work around it and each fight is different. I think that would have been a lot cooler. This just seems kind of like a reskinned, more difficult version of the LGE, which means stacking units will make this event not difficult and quite easy. And because of that, it will probably be free to play. I will try and finish it with a free to play team at some point when I have 4 hours to spare just pressing the screen. But yeah, basically we'll just see how it goes. But this Goku can't have his attack reduced, can't have his defense lowered. He is immune to sealing and immune to stunning. So already they're just ramping up the buffs for the Gokus. So yeah, very thrilling. We're going to pair the Piccolo and the Nail. Obviously, Nail gains a whole bunch of buffs just from Piccolo being on the team, but they do share a whole bunch of links. They do share a regeneration link as well, which will be helpful for regaining some health. And yeah, otherwise we'll be pretty set up. One thing that you guys will notice is that we are taking some damage from the super attacks, which is good. I know people will say, oh, why do you want to take damage? Well, it's nice just to see that, at least with super attacks, these units do some damage. They don't need to do massive amounts of damage or anything like that. But it's nice to see that they're doing some damage and that they're giving us a little bit of something to be aware of early on. It would be a bit boring if it's just 4 stages of ramp up just so you can stack your defense to not take damage at the end. So yeah, definitely at least dealing some damage with their super attacks. But we're pretty much going to heal up most of that eventually when our units start to stack their defense to a certain point. One thing I will say with these long form events like this LGE and all of that is the one main problem they come into is that stacking units inherently break the event's mechanics. Even if your whole team is not stacking units, any unit you get that gets to around 400k health is essentially going to heal you back up to full with 4 or 5 same type orbs. Not all the time, but pretty much will heal you up back to full. So units like Int Broly or like this Gohan, any of them that can get to that threshold are just going to heal you up tremendously. I mean, even at this early stage, you take Vegeta and get all these orbs, and you will see our health skyrocket all the way back up. So it's just one of those things where the inherent mechanic and the tying of health recovery to the orb, to the defense amount of the unit, kind of inherently breaks the core mechanic of the stage. Because, yeah, okay, I might take big damage on a super on one unit, I might have a unit that takes 300, 400k damage. But I can heal up 300k of that next turn with a single unit. And so because of that, by having 2 or 3 of those units on a team, you inherently begin a cycle of taking damage and healing, taking damage and healing. And that's if you get hit on your weaker units by the super attack. If you're not hit on your weaker units by the super attack, you're not going to take any damage at all. So that's kind of why these events, at least for me, are not mechanically interesting. They can be interesting from a challenge point of view. Things like maybe the Corrupted Body and Mind, because I don't have the Janemba, I don't have a lot of decent units for that stage. You can work around it. You can make like a Goku Black team, Int Goku Black team with Goku Black stacking, and then you can obviously throw in the Mars Saiyan and the Dark Mars Saiyan. But it is still at the end of the day a event whereby the mechanic is still so heavily favored towards units that stack defense, because that's just going to affect how well they do so dramatically overall, because of how long the event is and how many turns you just naturally have. Even if you were to one-shot every single turn of the event, you would still end up having 7 turns of the event, which is longer than almost most other events in the game. And just taking 2 turns per stage puts you at 14, which is almost at the threshold for a lot of time challenges and IDBH stages. So it is just a long event. Most people will be near the 20 turn mark, even if they're going through it quickly with a high damage team. It's just one of those things. It is just the difficulty of the stage. So yeah, definitely is one of those things. Unless you have like a full rainbow box and all your units are link level 10, you can start one-shotting each stage. You are just going to spend a while in here, and because of that, the inherent nature of stacking units is just so much better. But beyond that, I mean, it is at least nice to get an updated LGE that's a little bit harder, that's a little bit more difficult. It'll be nice to test units out in here to get some new thresholds on damage done and everything. But yeah, beyond that, units are designed for different end game content. Some units excel in SBR, some units units excel in certain IDBH stages because of category requirements, and some units excel in the LGE event. Yes, you get universal units that are great in every single event that they do. LRs are usually competent in at least every form of event, or for most of them, are good in some, most events, or 2 out of 3 events, or help in the world tournament, or so. Yeah, it's basically just a new meta challenging event for people to try out. I think it's really cool. The challenges will be difficult, 100%. The challenges will be challenging, to say the least. But at least it gives us some new content to do. It gives people something new to try out. Yes, it's the same mechanics as the previous one, but the damage is higher, so link level 10ing that unit that stacks, or giving him good equipment now matters. It'll make your life a lot easier. It'll make future challenges easier, and I mean, it brings a new banner and new rewards. So as much as maybe it's not as exciting as I personally would have liked it to be, I think it's really cool, and I think it's still nice to have this kind of content added into the game. Obviously, as we're going along here, we can just see that all the Gokus are pretty much now immune to stunning, immune to sealing, immune to attack lowering, immune to defense lowering, and yeah, going pretty ahead like that. They're not stopping rotations or anything. Doesn't look like they're sealing attacks or anything, so they're pretty much following the same trend as the original LGE event, which is fine. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything too mechanically diverse in here. Obviously, this AGL unit's not posing us too many problems. I guess the one nice change-up of this LGE GT event is obviously that we now have kind of different set typings and everything. So you can really test out some of those stacking AGL units, for example, that usually cream the final 2 stages of the LGE event. Now they might struggle with the LGE GT event with the tech full power Goku at the end. But Piccolo and Nail are obviously stacking defense at a very good rate. Nail also has damage reduction, so we'll see how much damage he takes from certain supers and everything. But overall, honestly, I don't anticipate to really face too many challenges. We will try and purposefully test out some of the thresholds in terms of some of these units and how much damage they do, especially towards the end. But yeah, like here we'll see how much damage Nail takes. 100k, so that's pretty good. Obviously, like we've noticed before, these super attacks are at least doing some substantial damage. The normal attacks seem to have decently lowish thresholds. I mean, when I say low, we're talking like 130, 140k, which is high. But you can see that they've made the super attacks definitely do some damage, which is good. It's nice to at least know that a super attack will be threatening. You will have to at least factor in type advantage. No one wants to take a 200k super, even if they can heal it up or it's early on into the fight. So yeah, it's definitely nice. It's a good change up, and yeah, we'll see how it keeps going. I guess it's also really cool to maybe see like a GT version. Obviously you see the Kid Goku, see his various forms. I think we'll also get the Azaru form as well, be able to see the SS4 Goku, the full power Goku. So as much as at least it's a different background setting to an LGE as well, and you can now run a new one to test out your long stacking units and get some cool attack stats and everything. So yeah, definitely very cool, very reliable, very interesting. And yeah, like we've noted, their super attacks are doing some good damage. So at least we know that there is a good level of threat early on. But obviously, like I said before, the one major problem with these kind of events is the defense stacking units just essentially heal up whatever damage you do take. And yeah, that generally prevents things. Obviously, a fully free-to-play team will be slightly difficult. Due to their low base stats, their low starting point, the lower leader skill, you will definitely run slower. And because of the higher starting point of the event, you definitely will notice like some more damage that you'll take on early on. But yeah, beyond the higher starting point, obviously, I think you definitely could probably free to play this event. Again, the stacking mechanic just generally overrides a lot of the difficulty of the event. You will obviously have some struggle at thresholds, but you do have items that you can use. We will probably not need items. I'll try and intentionally test with an item or something, just to see thresholds again. But yeah, I doubt we're going to have that kind of problem. But yeah, there's multiple stacking units you can use. Obviously give them a go, and try and complete the event first, and then from there try and build some teams to tackle on the challenges. I think I'll probably struggle with the challenges. I don't have a lot of the leads for the categories, which is obviously a problem. And then secondly, also, I'm just missing a lot of dupes and units. I know sometimes a lot of people will think my box is really good, and I'm not going to deny that obviously it gets endgame content done. But I do actually struggle sometimes with managing to finish all of these challenges, and that I have to spend a very long time thinking of the team and working around it to get these like first time clears and everything. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm not too phased. Obviously with it being a permanent event, we can try these anytime, and we'll just see how it goes. More units will come out, we'll link level a couple units, and we'll just try some things out and see how they go overall. Obviously easy A's will come out that'll make all the units better. So yeah, I think we'll try a couple, but I'm not too concerned about finishing every event in one go. Obviously, as you can see, by now our defense is stacking up to a pretty high point. I don't think we've overridden the event or anything like that, but I can definitely say that we're on par with no item running this stage. Definitely the units, their defensive numbers, they're always taking single digits, and the super attacks are hurting, but they're not ruining our life or doing a severe amount of damage to the point where we have to use items to heal. We can't heal up from the passives or anything. And we'll see here how much damage Goku does. 23k, so obviously that is with a little bit more damage reduction, a bit more defense from Nail. But yeah, just so far having a very smooth run, taking a while because we're at the lower lead skill. We obviously only have 120%, and we are keeping set rotations on. If we move Trunks onto main rotation, we probably would stack higher, stack faster, do more damage. But yeah, also I am going to skip ahead through some of these fights instead of having you guys rewatch the entire thing. We are just going to do a play-by-play. And just kind of, basically avoid, watching an hour worth of footage when we don't have to. But we'll see how much damage Piccolo takes here, which will be pretty good. Be a good indicator of the strength of the stage. This is the third to last stage, so double digits for Piccolo. Very good. Obviously, you saw the damage threshold there, so we're getting a nice idea of where this Great Ape unit lies. Obviously we have some good AGL stacking units that will help you against this Great Ape, but I think overall just make sure not to take any attacks on your physical units. One thing I will say is that he can have his defense lowered, so that is an option if you're looking to speed up the process here. He does seem to be somewhat tanky. But we'll get a good look here. We'll take a look-see. Vegeta's at 200k defense. Goku will be sitting at 167. So this will give us a good idea of the thresholds. Vegeta's at 200k, and he's taking 2k damage. So this unit's probably hitting at about 202,000, which means Goku will take about 60k, 70k. So yeah, what that means at the third to final stage, you're going to be having a unit hitting about 200k. It's probably the equivalent of the mono. It's probably the equivalent of the latest SBR stages, like the latest batch or category SBR stages. That's probably the equivalent of how hard they hit. You usually take around 70 to 80k damage with type disadvantage. With a unit that's sitting around 130-ish, so we're probably we're sitting at around that mark. So it's pretty tough. Obviously, it's rough, but definitely not the highest level of damage just yet. I do think the tech Full Power Goku will hit harder than ESBR, or at least definitely slightly harder than ESBR. Maybe not a lot, but definitely slightly harder. Because remember, they only really do one super attack a turn. Maybe Full Power SS4 Goku does more, but yeah, they really only do one super attack a turn. So it's okay for them to hit like a little bit harder than the ESBR because you have a little bit more control. When I say control, I mean you don't have the death threat if there's no multiple 400k super attacks coming in. It is a little bit easier to balance than SBR, where you can have multiple. You pop an item, you can still have like 5 200k supers pop through on your type disadvantage unit. So yeah, it is just one of those things. But we'll see. We'll take a look here. Obviously, Vegeta's now still at 161k. 161k. Goku's going to heal up a little bit and have a bit more defense there. So we'll see how much he takes with a type disadvantage attack. So Vegeta there. So yeah, he's definitely at the 200k mark. That's really the threshold of this great ape. So it's good to know. That's like a good milestone / checkpoint. The strength Great Ape Goku is a 200k damage dealer on normals. And yeah, he'll do some damage to your physical units for sure. Nice little checkpoint there. He's literally almost on the dot with 200k. Obviously Goku had 230 defense. He's going to stack on his super again. So I assume he's not going to take too much damage here. We're down to 6k. So yeah, can definitely see that. Obviously he's hitting around about 266 against type disadvantaged units. So yeah, take that information and do what you will. So getting hit with a super would probably result in about 400k damage. Since usually their super multipliers are like 2 or 3 times. So yeah, we'd be looking at a very solid amount of damage. But yeah, otherwise we're not going to have too many problems. Obviously Nail and Piccolo, they aren't going to have too many issues. So we're just going to jump ahead and take a look at the Int Goku. So Int Goku obviously poses a threat to quite a few units on our team. We are at really high defensive stacks. Vegeta has 500k defense, so he's not going to take damage. He might take damage from a super. I'd like to see a super hit a 500k Vegeta, but he will take single digits. I highly doubt any of these units is going to take damage from normal attacks, at least at 500k. That's not going to happen. The event wouldn't function if units were taking damage at 500k. So yeah, we will see how much damage Goku does. Hopefully he supers a tech type at some point. I do know, we did take... we get a little bit unlucky. He doesn't really super any of the tech units, and I think the one time he does is actually off my recording. And he only did like 80k or something. It was to like 550,000 defense trunks at that point. So yeah, he hits hard, but the problem is again, just when you fill up your team with stackers, you're not gonna have a problem. Obviously it'll be an issue for a tech type unit that doesn't have stacking or stops at about 180k 1000 defense, doesn't really have any other form of mitigation. So not to downplay the numbers these units do, but again, generally your team build, you're probably going to have one or two, at least 1 or 2, maybe even 3 stacking units, out of your 6. Ideally, those are going to be your main tanks. They're going to be floating around, they're going to be running around, kind of tanking the damage that you can, healing you up. So as long as your other units hit a decent point of defense and move on from there, you should be fine. I think the threshold for normals is probably going to be about 200k to not take any damage. So you might want to pop an item at this point, especially if you've got a heavy tech lineup. But units that guard all attacks, units like Janemba, the tech Janemba and that, they're not going to struggle too much, obviously, because, you know, they basically tank it as if they have type advantage. So yeah, we'll definitely see how things go, but at this point we're not struggling. Obviously this team is just designed to remove this event. It's not anything special or anything, it's just that's just how this event works, and it's just how this team works. We will try to take some damage. Hopefully he can super Vegeta or Goku or something, and we can see how much damage he does. But yeah, if he doesn't super Vegeta or Trunks, we're going to not really be able to see on screen. We're not really going to be able to see you know, his damage threshold, kind of. Obviously, like I said, their supers are doing decent damage. We'll see with this Gohan. Hopefully he gets super. We'll see how much damage he takes. So he was about 300 and something K, and he is taking 70k damage. So it's safe to assume that Goku does around about 400 to 450k damage with the super. Which makes sense if the full power Goku is doing about 600k from my estimate. So yeah, 400k also with the super, which means obviously a tech unit with 150k is probably going to take around about 400k damage on a super, which isn't good. It will give you a lot of problems, but you can probably heal it up as long as you don't take too many attacks afterwards. You should be fine. So yeah, that's kind of your damage thresholds here, which means Goku's hitting it roughly about 225, 200k per normal. So yeah, those are kind of your thresholds when we're talking this event. So yeah, definitely hitting as hard as an ESBR now in terms of normal attacks, and definitely in terms of super attacks. This is definitely what I would consider ESBR difficulty 100%. So yeah, it probably starts from around here being truly ESBR difficulty, and that's where you're going to start to kind of struggle a bit. You're going to probably want to use items. Hopefully you've got some damage dealers in that you can kind of control the fight. But yeah, definitely a good event. It's a nice upgrade on the Goku event. I don't think it's anything special, but yeah, it's definitely a good upgrade on the Goku event. It's a nice change aesthetically, at least for me. I like GT. Not such a big fan of obviously Kid Goku GT or anything like that, but it's still nice to have a change, to not just be running all 15 different versions of the Goku from before. And yeah, it's nice to have a new event with some new category challenges, which will be quite challenging. I think they've done well with the category challenges. I think Corroded Body of Mind will be a decent one. I think Battle of Wits might probably be one of the easier ones overall. But I think a lot of the categories are really well thought out and at least pretty fun. Connected Hope, again, probably somewhat difficult, but you could run a Worthy Rivals team or something along those lines under Piccolo, and then, you know, kind of see how it goes there. But it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see how everything meshes together. But yeah, I think at this point we're just going to kind of skip it up here. We've seen enough of Int Goku, so let's jump to the final stage and let's see how things are going up there. So this is the full power Goku. Obviously can't be sealed, can't be stunned, no attack lowering, no defense lowering. He now has a chance to evade like the Int Goku, and he also disables evasion and will hit all your units. So no evasion here for the UI Gokus or the Whis or anything like that. So any unit that relies on evasion as their form of defense mitigation, good luck and good night. Unfortunately, it is game over for you. So yeah, we'll just kind of see how things go here. One interesting thing to note is if you're running the Connected Hope category, you actually kind of have a slight problem, because full power tech SS4 is going to deal some really big damage to the double lead Pycons if you're running a pure Connected Hope team under that double lead. So you might need to work your way around that, or just, you know, hope that you dish out the damage. But yeah, Goku seems to be quite tough and ready to go. So we'll see how much damage he does, and yeah, I think, like I said before, his threshold on his super attack is really around about that 650k mark. That's kind of what he's throwing out there, what he's putting down in terms of damage. But we'll get a good look and be able to take a decent evaluation of his damage thresholds during this event. So obviously the nail here is sitting at a solid 500,000 defense, nothing too high or anything, 538k to be precise, but we'll be able to see him take a super attack here, so it'll be nice to see how much damage he takes, just remembering that he is a type disadvantaged unit, so obviously we do need to take that with a pinch of salt, but this is 540,000 defense, type disadvantage versus the Goku event. And 108, look, that's actually a good amount of damage. 184,000 is really good. That means that attack hit for about 720, 730, which if you put the 1.5 modifier on top of it means that this Goku's attacks hit around 550, 600, which is decent. Yeah, it's a solid point. It really is a solid point. Basically, yeah, it's a good amount of damage. It's definitely higher than UI Goku, the int UI Goku, MUI Goku, and yeah, the fact that he can damage a 500,000 defense unit, even if it is with type, disadvantage, is a good sign. It does show the intense difficulty of this final stage. So, yeah, even if you're using all stacking units, just know you can still take a little bit of damage there. We've got 400k defense on the Vegeta. I'm going to try with the orb changing guys. We've got 354 there as well. I'm going to try with the orb changing guys to maybe get some lower stats next turn and just see how much damage this Goku does, because that'll be quite interesting. Maybe put them at like 160k or something like that, and pop an item, because I think you definitely will need to, because I don't want to throw away 50 minutes of work here. But yeah. We'll test out some of the lower end of the spectrum defensive stats. That's the one nice thing about the orb changes. Vegeta there took about 152 on about 400, the high 400. So yeah, he's definitely hitting over 600k with those super attacks. But yeah, obviously if you've got stacking units, you're not going to take any damage from him. Pretty much, you'll heal it up. Basically is what I mean. Like, you could even take 200k, but you'll heal it up because your unit's defense is so high. And you're just going to heal up all that health. And then the issue is obviously, of course, the longer the event goes, the more you stack. So if you're not going to die in the beginning, you're not going to die at any other point really of the fight. So it is just one of those things. Like, now that we've guaranteed we can't die, unless I purposefully choose like 1 or 2 orbs for units, we are not going to die. So yeah, that is one of the things about these legendary Goku events. Basically that's just your mitigating factor. Like, that's how the event's constructed. It's how you beat the event. It's very similar to SBR, bringing units with utility, bringing units with stuns, bringing units with seals, bringing units with attack lowering really helps against SBR. You can bring leader skills that lower attack and defense by 40%, and you can spend 14 hours finishing an SBR, but you will finish that SBR. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Every game has its way to finish its stages, and this is one of those ways to make this event really easy. But I still think it's really fun. It's a good event to have, and like I said, the category missions are really cool. So yeah, overall cool. Upgraded version of the Goku event, awesome. I'm all in for it. And it's nice to finally get to use units like Piccolo, who really get to shine. Obviously he shines on his own in SBR with his foresight and everything, but it's really cool to just see an extended view of Piccolo, see how high his defense can get, and yeah, just take it from there. Similarly with my favorite unit in the game, Trunks. It's cool, he can do SBR and stuff as a floater, but it is really nice to just use him and get some really high numbers with him and see how he does. So it's an excuse for people to pop out their old stacking units and really just test the limits of how high their defenses and attack damages and everything can go. So yeah, really cool, really fun stage. Yeah, and I think it's really nice. So what we'll do here is we're only going to get 2 orbs with Vegeta, and we're going to get 1 orb with Goku. So that will be nice to see the different array of defensive stats, and we'll pop an item. So Vegeta's going to get 1 orb. That's going to put him at 230k. and then Goku's going to get one. Sorry, Vegeta got 2 orbs. Goku's going to get 1 orb, and that's going to put him in like the 130 zone, which I think is a good 148. So I think that's a good mark. I think most units will want to have at least 130k defense when they get here, barring damage reduction and things like that. So yeah, let's see how he goes. So obviously taking single digits for Vegeta with the Whis active, no problem there. And then we will see how Goku does. Also single digits. So yeah, so it seems like with normal attacks at least, popping a Whis and being at around about the 130-140k mark, you're not going to be taking like 50k on like a normal attack hit, which is good. I think to ask any more would be testing a limit of a lot of non-whale boxes. Not a lot of people are going to have high damage units or cool units like in Gogeta or Cooler or anything beyond maybe a dupe or 2, and those units are going to struggle to get, even with big bad bosses, are going to struggle to get to like 150-160k all the time, you know, without support and everything. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's good. So we've just skipped ahead. Obviously we're going to end up finishing this event. I'm going to transform Trunks. He's stacked so much now, he probably will finish the event. His attack will become effective against all types. He does attack lowering, defense lowering. He's going to get the Dokkan attack as well. And he's going to get a massive ton of orbs. So, yeah. This will probably end the fight. I'm like 90% certain. But we'll see how it goes. I think with the Dokkan attack, he definitely will finish it. Or we'll finish it next turn. But it's definitely coming to an end now. We're at the last 2 bars. It's been a very long process, but not hard in any way, shape or form. Barring that item we used to test defenses, yeah, there hasn't been any struggle whatsoever. So yeah, let's see how Trunks goes. Let's see the attack stat we can get to. He's at 6.5 there at the bottom. So yeah, after the Dokkan attack, he should finish this full power Goku. And then yeah, we'll take a quick look at the banner, and then I think we'll call it there. But overall, my overall thoughts on it, it is just a harder version of the original Goku event. Stacking units, still break it, and yeah, that's about it. But it's really fun, and it's cool, and the rewards are really great, and the category missions can still be quite challenging and look like they're going to be a lot of fun to work around. So from that angle, I think it's a good event, and I'm glad that they've added it. Plus I get to see the KO screen with my Trunks, so yeah, always worth it. And yeah, that's it. That's the LGE GT finished and completed. We're going to get a couple stones for the victory here. We'll get obviously the 14 tickets and the 14 stones for the win as well from the missions. You can see there 51 minutes of AFK tapping on my phone to finish this event. Definitely can be done faster, can be done way faster with a better team, better leads, better everything. So yeah, definitely don't take that as the standard. That is, you know, probably the super safe estimate on how long it takes you if you just want to AFK, hit the screen while you are watching something else or doing some work or replying to some emails like me. So yeah, that is really cool, and thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, let me know how it goes down below in the comments, and bye.